2.5 hours trying to get it from a fairly small dune, just going back and front and back and front till eventually you manage to come out. And I remember that feeling of just like, thank you, God. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question because, like, yeah, when you have the 320 and you're driving a BMW in university, there's that sense of like, you almost get a little egoistic, like, yeah, look at my cool car and stuff like that. But when you buy your car with your own money, oh, that's a whole different sort of satisfaction. But you also learn to value it more, I think, because you're like, okay, I know the amount of time and effort it took to buying into that. And obviously you'd respect even your dad or your mom's car because you know the effort they're putting, but it's a completely different feeling when it's your own car. And also then the process of modifying it, because the BMW, I always wanted to do things to it, but because it was my mom's car, I never really touched it because like she has to drive it as well. It needs to be comfortable. So for me, the BMW was like a fun car to just drive around. But the Patrol was a whole other adventure because I remember getting it, and the first thing is like, okay, I need to modify this. I need to make this my own. And I think that's what made it very special for me, is that making it my own. And in terms of like a personal development, I think it's the whole like off-roading experience that is very humbling, because I remember when you go off-roading, everyone is so charged up. Everyone's like, yeah, my car is the biggest and the loudest and the fastest. But you kind of need to check your ego and go like, dude, you need to know your limits, right? And that's something that you can learn and apply, I think, anywhere in your life, but especially when off-roading, because, you always want to climb the tallest dune, you always want to be the fastest car, you want to do the highest jump, but everything comes with a consequence. And you need to know the limit of your car and the limit of your driving. Because I was at Mall of the Emirates parking lot, and my exhaust normally has a switch where I'm like, okay, when I go off-roading, I'll have the switch on, so I can just have like maximum, but on the road, to keep it off as much as possible, don't want to disturb people. So yeah, I was in the parking lot, the exhaust happened to be on, and I just turned the car on, that's it, in a mall parking lot. Reversed the car, and then there was this car in this opposite direction. So I said, okay, cool, I'll wait for the car to move. And I didn't like flash or anything, I was being quite patient. And then this guy comes and goes like, give me your license. And I'm like, excuse me, what's the problem, sir? And he was like, I'm a cop. And I was like, oh. And then he's like, give me a second. He goes back, comes in his like uniform and comes back to me and goes like, that exhaust is too loud. And I'm like, oh no, I got it checked because the exhaust systems have these rules that it needs to be 98 decibels and stuff. So I made sure that I got it checked and it's under the sound and all of that kind of stuff. And I got the car passed with the exhaust system as well. So I was like, it should be fine, I think. And he was like, no, it's not okay. It's too loud. And I was like, oh, that sucks because I wasn't like revving it or anything. And he was like, no, it's a disturbance, you're in a mall. And I guess the sound echoed, so it sounded a lot louder than it is. So then I got a fine for just starting my car in a parking lot, which I think was like the silliest fine you can ever get, in terms of cars. What's next? So I think for me, in terms of like from cars, ultimate goal would be to have a Y60 because I just love how it looks. So it would be awesome if I could have both the cars together, like have the Y61, use that a little bit more, go off-roading, and the Y60 just to be my like precious Jumeirah cruiser, keep it in pristine condition. So yeah, for me, a Y60 would be something that I would really want. And also a sports car because, I still have that passion for because Mustang, like I mentioned, was something that I always wanted. But I think once I got into my Patrol, got into like JDM in a way because of Nissan stuff, I think a Skyline or like a GTR would be something that is also on the list. And I think I would love to, my ultimate garage would be like a mix of a couple of classic cars, one modern sports car, and a Y60 for sure. Cool, so like, I think it was just through like video games and like Hot Wheels and stuff, to be honest. Like I had a massive Hot Wheel collection, like 200, 300 cars, just this tiny little things that I loved so much, just playing around and just visualizing myself being in it. And then obviously when like Need for Speed and NFS and all these kind of games started coming out, I just love modifying them so much. And for me, that is something that I really like about cars, like you can personalize it, make it your own, and it can be something that's yours and like uniquely yours, not just yours, but to think of like that moment where I saw a car and just completely fell in love with it was probably like on Jumeirah Road when I saw some classics, like classic Mustangs pass by. And I remember even there was a Dodge Charger actually that I saw. And the Dodge Charger looks amazing in pictures, but when you see it in real life, it is something else. And I remember like just peeping out of my dad's car because whenever I was in the car, I just always look out, look at all the cars passing, and I would play this little game in my head trying to name the car and stuff like that. And I was quite young, and I remember seeing the Dodge Charger and just being mind blown at how beautiful this car looks, how like it kind of evokes your senses. You're like like it's just a masterpiece. And I think that really like got me into, because I was really into muscle cars then, that really got me into like old school muscle cars, just being loud and muscular, and something about it that was just that X factor that made it so cool that you can't really put your finger on what it is, but it's kind of everything put together that makes it so awesome. So for me, I think that was one of the, I'll never forget that black Charger with that classic number plate that passed by. I never really saw it again, but looked beautiful, and I think that kind of like got me to muscle cars, and then eventually Mustangs and stuff like that. The first one I'm going to say is actually a really stupid one, and it was just because of lack of experience. So we'd gone off-roading. It was just one car, or it was two cars actually. It was an FJ Cruiser and a Jimny. This is again my Jimny friend who we were first going off-roading. So this is when we just started to off-road, and we were completely like inexperienced. We didn't have the right gear. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were just like going to the desert and trying to have some fun. So we got stuck in this, now when I think about it, quite a small little bowl, but we struggled so much to get out. I remember it was like becoming summer then. It was quite a hot day. It was during the day. And we were just struggling to get this car out. And we're just reversing and going in front and then reversing and going in front. We don't have any gear. We're not even sure how to like use it, because everything was so new to us. And I remember standing there and going like, we're going to be here forever. And it's a funny story, because when I think about it now, it was so basic what we had to do. And because now I know how to like drive, and we all are more experienced as a kind of a group, that would have not even been a reason. We wouldn't have even considered that being stuck. But that time, because we had no experience and no understanding of what to do, we really struggled, man. We were there for at least, I think, 2.5 hours, trying to get it from a fairly small dune, just going back and front, till eventually we managed to come out. And I remember that feeling of just like, thank you, God. Thank you so much for letting us come out. And then we very carefully drove out of the desert. So that's an interesting story, just because of like how stupid it was, but it still became such a big event where we were stuck for such a long time. So my Nissan Patrol, to start off with, has upgraded tires. So I've got bigger wheels and changed rims as well. I got braid rims on it. Tires have 285/70 R16s. So that's the tire setup. Then I've got suspension down. So I've got King suspension, adjustable. I've got King springs as well, lifted 2-inch lift. Actually, it's 1.5, sorry, not 2-inch. Because with the short wheelbase, the more you lift it, the more complications you have. So yeah, I've got a 1.5-inch lift. Then what else? I've blacked out everything. So I've de-chromed the car completely. So everything that was chrome is now black. Even the headlights have been blacked out. I've changed the headlight bulbs, changed the fog bulbs. I've got a skid plate front and back for off-roading. I've got off-road lights in the front, Baja design. Off-road lights at the back as well. What else? And then from a power perspective, I've got an intake, an AFE intake, headers, downpipe, and a catback system with a switch, so I can switch it on and off. And yeah, that's pretty much it. In the interior, I have a Pioneer system. So that's got like Apple CarPlay, which is awesome. But otherwise, yeah, pretty much that. So it's all bolt-on, nothing too crazy, to be honest. So if I ever do want to bring it back to stock, still possible, because I haven't changed anything that big. But yeah, quite happy with how it is and how it feels, especially off-roading. I think it's very cool, man. Like the moment I got the message from you guys, I was like, oh, this is awesome to be part of this, because again, it's about meeting people, sharing your story, being part of the community, which is always fun, you know. Like it's a hobby at the end of the day, and you want to engage with more people, you want to learn more, and also like with modifying your cars and stuff like that, it's a process, it's a journey. You're going to make mistakes, you're going to learn, you're going to discover new things. So it's always nice to meet people, and you know, people who have more experience and you know, understand things, learn things from them. So yeah, it's awesome. It's cool that you have this sort of dialogue going on, this community, and I think you're building something a lot bigger than just yourself, which is always really nice. A message to my younger self is, I don't know. I'm quite happy with the decisions I made, but you know, just live your best life, you know, because there are going to be times in your life where you need to make maybe the sensible decision and the emotional decision, and yeah, make your sensible decision, but also have a little bit of fun, live your best life, you know, enjoy what you're doing, and do things with purpose always, you know, like don't always just go with the flow or be a sheep, but do things the way you want to do it, create your own style, and yeah, just enjoy the process, you know, because that's what it's about.